being brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now, here's your host for today's episode.
Well, good morning. You got Mike and Rich coming to you from Buckhead here, and as always, it's a beautiful day overlooking Buckhead. We've got right here over Lenox Mall. We're up at the level watching the clouds go by, and boy, it is a Chamber of Commerce day if we only had a Chamber of Commerce in Buckhead. Today, we've got three super guests. We've got a real estate story, we've got a mentalist story, and we've got a consultant story for you. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun with Juan, Nick, and Deborah. So let's go ahead and kick it off this morning. We're sponsored by the Buckhead Business Association, co-hosted by myself and Rich Casanova, and we're live in the studio here, and we're going to have some great information you're going to be able to take out and take home today. So, Juan, you have been a real estate guy. I think it said you went to New York broke after college, and you wanted to be a real estate investor?
Yes, sir.
Tell me the rest of that story.
Yes. So soon after graduating from the University of Georgia, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
I was broke with bad credit, so not in a great financial position after graduating with a BBA in economics and a minor in statistics.
And how many pizzas did you eat to be broke?
He said he graduated economics and was broke. I almost said a spit take on that one.
Business degree, right?
I almost did a spit take
But
on
it
that
was
one.
the University of Georgia. It's okay.
So not a good start after graduating. So humble beginnings, moved back in with my mom. So I love my mom, but just can't live with her, you know. But one thing she did do for me, she provided me with a gift, a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That's the first book I actually read that was not a textbook. After reading that book, I devoured it in about 2 days and decided firmly that's who I want to be in life, a real estate investor. Fast forward about 6 months later, end up landing a job for the United States Census Bureau in New York City, and I packed my bags and moved to New York.
All right. So you got to survey a lot of front doors there in the Census Bureau.
Yes, a lot of door knocking.
You saw a lot of real estate in a hurry, so you were able to anticipate. I guess you learned how to guesstimate, right?
Yep, and avoided the hot water out the window.
Well, one of the things I saw in your bio there, Juan, is that you your company name or your product is very unique. It's called 100% Finance now. Is that a guaranteed product or?
A guaranteed product in regard to our services, yes. Most of our services are guaranteed. We don't provide the client the results they're looking for. We'll give them a full refund.
Very good. So the challenge is finding out exactly what they need and letting them understand what they need. So talk a little bit about the real estate market here in Atlanta. You've been back here for a while now after that stint in New York, and I understand you have quite a few properties. So walk us through some of your fun days.
Okay, cool. So currently I own about 63 units. And as I stated earlier, I started off with bad credit and little to no money, so I had to be a bit creative. And I think there's a quote that goes along those lines that creativity is the birthplace of limitations, or limitations the birthplace of creativity.
One way or the other, right. I think it works.
So it provides you with that ability to be a bit more creative in how you finance your deals. So while I was in New York City, I realized that the price point for real estate was a little bit above my pockets, so to speak. So I decided to invest out of state in a small town, not too small, but Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, small in comparison to New York City. And I continued to throw my dollars there and use creative financing to purchase real estate. So now I'm at 63. And even though I currently reside here in Atlanta, Georgia, I still invest out of state.
Well, it was interesting. One of everybody's talking points in real estate. They think they have to invest on their own block down the street. The house you live in is not your investment. That's what you're actually renting from yourself. So, talk about the cross counties and the different rules and the things that have made you successful. Where you found some niches.
Okay, great. So one of the things I found successful is pretty much keeping your ear to the street, so to speak. So instead of just working with a buyer's agent, a person who works normally with a buyer, I'm an investor, so I buy properties. I do the opposite. I work with a listing agent, a person who lists the property. So they're familiar with the state of the property, as well as the motivation of the seller, as well as the lay of the land. So I will have a team of these listing agents, about 25, so a lot of cold calling. So I had to incorporate sales into my job description, even though I'm a real estate investor. And I'll have this team of real estate agents, listing agents, finding deals for me and giving me the scoop of what's going on in this market, in this county, in this neighborhood, with this seller, and with this property.
So you obviously favor some zip codes because you're looking at the process. So obviously
Correct.
you're working in Pittsburgh, and you do some work here in Atlanta. And where else?
That's primarily it in regard to the real estate aspect. But online with 100% finance, we're national.
Good. And when you also mentioned you're a nationally renowned public speaker. So
Oh, I
talk
like
to
the-
me
I like
about
the
your
sound of that.
seminars and your activities and your things you do that are trying to help others, because it's all a pay it forward process, giving back and giving it up.
Yeah, so in regard to giving back, well, I'll say how the concept of 100% finance got started. After quitting my day job through my real estate holdings, a lot of my friends were business people. That's all I associate myself with. Go out, hang out, have drinks, and so forth, talk about business. But they would ask me out, not necessarily to have a few drinks or to watch the game, but to pick my brain. Hey, how were you able to finance this deal? Hey, how were you able to improve your credit? How did you get funding for this? I'm like, whoa, these dudes are really using me or utilizing me, right? Utilizing their friendship. So I said, you know what? I'm going to use or utilize them as well. So I decided, okay, I'll answer all your questions, but first, let me take a survey, using my Census Bureau background. Let me take a survey of all the questions that you have. And then I created an ebook out of that. Those 10 questions from each of my friends became 10 chapters and frequently asked questions they had. So I created the ebook and then sold it to them at a high price, $40, and all of them bought it.
Not $39.95, but
No,
for full $40.
I learned now you got to put in 97 or 95 at the end. Yeah, but at the time it was $40 using PayPal.
Well, you didn't have to deal with change that way. You could,
Right,
you
it
could
was
take
all
it.
electronic.
You could sell it at the cocktail bar.
Right. So after I found out that it was a need, a market, then I decided, well, if these guys are interested, maybe there might be other people nationally who may be interested. So I got my smartphone out and started creating YouTube videos. So the production was subpar, but my main focus was giving out consistent content. And on every YouTube video, in the description, I will place my phone number and say, hey, if you have any questions, concerns, please give me a call. And so people who came across my videos who were intrigued by the messages that I portrayed on YouTube, they reached out to me and said, hey, that was a great video on buying apartment buildings, but I was confused what you meant by cash out refinance. Can you create another video about that?
Well,
So
I
that's
do
what I
have a
did.
$39.95 book.
Right. So I will answer their question, correct, sell them on the ebook, as well as say, hey, what else do you want to know? Hey, I want to get into real estate, but my credit's bad. Do you guys offer credit repair? We do now.
We're offering it soon.
Right. Or, hey, how were you able to fund your deals? Using business funding. Oh, will you be able to help me? Sure. Fill out this application. I'll get back to you in a few days. So pretty much I found a following or created a following, found out their demand, and then created a product to satisfy their demand. Most people like this bottle of water. They'll say, hey, I have this water. Who wants to buy it? Who wants to buy it? You might say, I already got my own, or I have coffee. I'm not thirsty. And then I'm stuck with this inventory. But I think the reverse is better. Say, hey, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And then if you all say, hey, we need water, then
What
I'm
do
going
you,
to find
what do
a
you
product
have and
to
what do you
serve it.
need? I'm thirsty. I have thirst and I need water.
Correct. So that's how I created 100% finance. So it's pretty much low cost because it's all social media. And social media, you can use it, all the free resources that they have, you can use it to your advantage.
What's very interesting, let's go back and look at your factor of looking at other markets for a moment. Let's just dream for a second. We've got a mentalist here. He probably knows my next question, which is going to be, if you were going to pick another city in the United States other than Pittsburgh and Atlanta, what would be some of the criteria you would use to pick another city, and how would you go about that?
I would say somewhere in the southeast, I would use Chattanooga, Columbus, Birmingham. Those are pretty much, or maybe Greenville as well. So cities that are in the southeast because it's local to drive to. Because normally when I go to Pittsburgh, I have to take a flight.
Sure.
Granted, it might be a 2-hour flight, but I would rather drive to put my eyes on the property. And I know that they are hard-working areas. I prefer to work in C as in Charlie areas. A is the high type area, like Buckhead, for example. You see people jogging at night. You see a yogurt spot around every corner. You see a Whole Foods. D is in Davis, more, I need to tuck my chain in at night,
Right.
or maybe not go there at night. So I tend to specialize in the C as in Charlie. Section 8 is great. And those areas have high blue-collar areas, Section 8 areas, and there's low barriers to entries in regards to the price point. You get more bang for your buck. The cap rates are pretty.
And so you want to buy a little over wholesale and rent at retail, right?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Retail just happens to be a little lower in some of the communities you work in. Well,
got
that's a
it.
great opportunity. What about the next year? What you going to do in real estate? You going to expand a lot?
Yes, do bigger. I've been comfortable with the small multifamily between 5 units and 20 units. Now I want to step my game up and play a bigger game.
Well, how do they get in touch with you? Just name and number at the bottom of the YouTube. Go.
Oh, sure. So my name is Juan Pablo. You can follow me at 100% Finance, 100 PERCENTFINANCED.com. And my number is 347-687-0161. So at the New York number.
Well, New York number. Well, Juan, it was a pleasure to have you on the show this morning. We're going to wrap it up in a minute and go ahead, but I'm going to move on to Nick now. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. I understand, Nick, you've been on the show before, and you're back to kind of show us some more ideas and thoughts and catch us up on what you've been working on. So talk about your products and opportunities and things you do.
Okay, well, I offer two services. I am an entertainer, so I perform at corporate events and private parties around the country. I am based here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I also teach individuals and companies around the country how to read people through micro expressions and body language.
Okay, micro expressions. Well,
Yeah.
is that like the raised eyebrow?
Yeah, micro expressions are little small expressions that happen literally like maybe no more than 1 second, and it happens in the face. So there are different emotions that, whether someone's happy or they're content, angry, disgusted, you react on literally a micro level, whereas body language, the difference is that can last a long time. If someone crosses their arms, they're not doing it for half a second. They might be there for a while, so you got time to process. Mm-hmm. Micro is very fast and very sometimes small. It may not be a huge movement that you're looking for.
I got it. Micro means minute, very small.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
Instantaneous, I guess.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you train or teach. Talk a
Right.
little bit about the opportunities to learn those micro skills.
There's two ways. I offer an individual private lesson, or I offer a workshop class on that. And it's basically about, with an individual, it'll go a little faster, but usually like with a workshop, the number of people is irrelevant. So you can have as many as you want in there. And it'll probably run about, I would say about anywhere between 2 and 3 hours of training. But the really cool thing is once you got the skills, you got it for life.
Sure.
And I think that's a really cool.
Well, but you do have to practice a little
thing
bit,
to-
so you've got to keep paying attention to people, right?
Well, yeah, with everything you have to practice, and with everything. But the neat thing is a lot of the stuff you can pick up quickly. So it's not like you didn't know how to do this, you took the workshop, now you got to practice for 2-3 weeks, and then maybe, you know what I mean? You'll slowly learn how to do it. By the time you leave, you already know a lot of stuff, and now it's just little fine tuning and little maintenance. So I think that's it's almost like an instantaneous learning, and I like that.
Well, I've been watching your micro gestures here. I've been watching you moving your hands forward and backwards, telling us we're going to proceed and back up and learn. I guess it does take a little opportunity. Why do people take your course?
Well, there's two reasons. It can be done for personal or professional, since we'll talk with the professional first. So with your career, if you are involved with dealing with clients, how about to create a better rapport with new clients you're going to meet? How about keeping that great rapport with existing clients? With sales, when you're selling on something, you can know whether they're interested or they're not. How about if for people in business who go to networking events, how would you like to know if when you're talking to someone, are you talking to them too long? Or do you need to, I'm losing them, I better reel them back in? You know, that's up to you, but you know whether you're losing them or not. Or have you ever approached say like a small group of 4 people, whatever, and they got their circle and you want to enter the group and you're standing there and they never really let you in? Wouldn't you like to know that immediately so you can save a lot of time? And I mean, there's just so many little things that you can pick up and tell about that. Now, for a personal life, well, how about a better relationship with your spouse or maybe the person you're dating? How about with your children, if you have any, family, friends? Co-workers.
Let's see, are divorce attorneys good referral sources for you?
Yeah.
Well, where do you teach? Tell us a little bit about your physical activity, your groups. I think that's pretty interesting.
Well, again, so the way it would work is for a workshop regarding companies, we'll start with them first. I go to them. So just wherever they are, wherever they are in the country, wherever they are in the country, and depending on their size, it's just up to.
Do you let the boss come in a group?
They can come. Yeah, come on in. Whoever they want, bring them in, and I'll take care of
Like
them.
in that micro gesture, bring them in and you push people away again. How'd that work?
Private lessons, I'm just having fun with you. Private lessons is individual. I would go to their, again, if they're for their career, whatever, they want me to, come to their office, or I would then go to their home, depending, because it just depends on what they want to use it for. What they want to use it for, I don't really care, because you really have it. You have it for both.
Test. There is
well,
no
no, you
test.
have it for both. I mean, just
It's
it's a
transferable.
great thing. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you actually entertain. So talk a little bit
Yes.
about your one-man shows.
Right. So I've been doing this since 2006, and I've been fortunate enough to, again, I perform all over the country and even in other countries. I just got back actually from Barbados a few months ago. I was doing a private show there. That was a lot of fun. But with my show, it's either like a stage performance or a strolling performance. So I take my skills, but I perform in a fun way, using fun demonstration. I mean, nobody gets embarrassed or nothing, like you can see in my promo video. If you're on my site, like I had a woman on stage, and she was I asked her to draw a picture in her mind, and while she was doing that, I duplicated it on a sketch pad moment by moment as she was thinking of it. Now, there's nothing psychic about it. I'm more of a psychological entertainer. What I say and what I do, I could read people's thoughts, influence their actions, predict the future, but it's nothing psychic. And it's a different type of entertainment, so it's quite it's different, and it's been very receptive. Corporate loves what I do.
I would imagine you would be quite entertaining at the beginning or the end of a corporate meeting when they're either looking forward to a boring day and you come in and lighten up.
Whether it's workshops or like award banquets they have, it's not just holiday parties. It's all different type of corporate functions, and yeah, I come in just like you said, either in the morning or maybe they have like a weekend type training or whatever, and on that last day, let's do something fun.
You can certainly set the tone on either end of a process. Now, do you do some MC work also? Do you lead some seminars? Or
I never really got into that. No,
Okay.
I just never.
that would
got
seem
into
like a
that.
natural, because loosening people up at the beginning of some of those boring events would be.
Oh, I could probably do that. I just never bothered to
Sure.
pitch myself in that way. I'm very busy, whether I'm performing, like I said, I'm doing usually 2 or 3 shows a week, and then if I have either, again, a private lesson or I'm teaching an actual workshop. So I'm just right now very busy with that, but not that I would rule that out, but that's just not
I noticed you were quite active on social media and so forth. Do you do all your own promotion, or do you have a publicist?
No, I work with regards to getting booked.
Yeah.
I work with numerous booking agents across the country, and they're the ones that book me.
And how long have you been professionally performing?
Since 2006.
And what are some of your wildest experiences? Barbados doesn't sound too wild, but that's probably pretty fun.
That's fun. No, I mean, I like it. I get to go to even just like I said, the different cities and stuff. You get to see. I've pretty much got to visit almost every state, I would say. I'm trying to think which ones. There might be a couple that have been left out, and so it's just.
I'm thinking you've probably left one out.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah. Yeah, but there's the different people and the way they respond and react, and there's how serious sometimes people take things versus a certain other section of the population who's more laid back. There's a big.
I'm glad you
difference
said
in-
it's not your objective to embarrass someone, but
No.
some people could be in. I always think about that person acting like a chicken on stage.
Yeah, no, that's hypnosis.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand, but I was thinking about when you talking about drawing what they were thinking about in their mind. That could have a bad ending.
No, there's nothing inappropriate, and I don't even use inappropriate language. I know there's a lot of entertainers out there that like to use someone else as like the butt of a joke or something. I don't like doing that. Some people are a little nervous whether they're coming up, and with my show, sometimes I do things with the entire audience.
Sure.
Other times it's one person, 2, 3, 4.
I believe I would like your clean show, Nick. So, Nick, how do they find you, and where do they look for you on social media?
Okay, well, the best place to go is right to my website, www.nickcompise.com. And that's got everything there. You can also follow me on Twitter, Nick Compise. And, yeah.
I'm actually from Alabama, so spell Compise for me.
Sure. I'll spell it C-O. Am I going too fast?
That's a fine.
I'm just teasing.
Kick it up a notch.
COMPISE.
Very good. Compise. I got it now. I've got that etched in my memory. And then the micro expressions, you saw me do that. I tapped my head twice, so it's in there for good. Well, Nick, a pleasure to have you with us today.
It was a
I hope
pleasure.
it's been
Thank
a
you.
good time. I'm looking forward to your next show here in Atlanta.
Thank you.
So now as we move over to Deborah Schwartz-Griffin, who is someone, it's always a pleasure to have someone you've known for a while. I've watched Deborah work her magic in Buckhead for quite a while on Connections, work her magic all over Atlanta, and, of course, regionally and nationally as well. So, Deborah, how in the world do you connect all these people?
You know, I do it out of love for helping people and seeing good things come from it. So I was always a connector growing up as a child in high school and college. Always wanted to help and serve. And when I got into business development, sales, and marketing in my career as a news reporter, I was always the one that was trying to find out the heart of the matter and then how I can help people and get to the nuts and bolts of the story. So that's what I've always done.
Well, you've worked with a lot of public service organizations. I know you've been very valuable to the community in working with mentoring programs, working with chambers of commerce, working with all types of groups. So, and I think you're working with the Atlanta Food Bank. Is that correct?
Working with the food bank and on the board of Star C, which helps communities that are in decline, workforce affordable housing, helping the families live better.
I'm sorry, that organization that works with communities in decline, what's the name of that again?
It's called Star C,
STAR, S-T-A-R?
STR-C org, and it's about helping families. Our beta or our pilot is in Clarkston, Willow Branch.
Wow.
And we're helping families there through wellness and after-school education and community gardens.
The Community Garden's a good program. That's is that just starting, or has that been in operation for a while?
No, it's been in operation for the last couple of years, and we've really we have 50 gardens planted. We have over 90 kids in the after-school program, and doing very well with the wellness program.
Well, great. Now, how did you pick Clarkston?
Actually, the founder, Margie Stagmeyer, is the one that owns the development, and she's the one that picked that development.
Now, is this an apartment complex or a community, or?
This is multifamily.
Okay.
This is 22, let's see, there are 22 languages, 186 units, 700 people that live there, and 98% refugee.
That is a pure community that is very, very, very diverse and stretched. Also, I know you work with a couple of other groups in the city that are very prominent. Talk about the women's mentoring programs you've been involved with.
Well, I would tell you the United Way, the Women's Legacy of United Way, the Cole Society, I'm involved in that organization. The Atlanta Women's Network, past president, so help there, the Partnership Against Domestic Violence, and several other nonprofits. I would say that just on a daily basis, helping my clients and in the nonprofit world is part of mentoring.
Well, the old story of building your brand is so important. You've been doing a great job of that for all the years I've been knowing you here in Atlanta. So talk about some of the strengths that you see in some of your clients and how they're moving forward and of course, building your own brand. You're a very colorful young lady doing your magic every day.
You know, people come to me like a puzzle piece. They'll come to me with, Deborah, I need to meet so-and-so because I've got this issue, I've got this problem, I've got this product, I've got this service. Who could you connect me to that can help me do these things? And in addition to that, we're building their personal and professional brand and generating revenue, but we're doing it in a way that is holistic and not just black and white or the rifle approach. It's kind of holistic, looking at the whole picture. So I would say that I've been able to help build a brand of companies and individuals through coaching, through getting them in front of the key people they need to see, and through making sure that everybody gets what they want out of the situation. I
bet your engagements wind up being at least 50% planning before you start executing, right?
Yes, very strategic. Always try to do a SWOT analysis, always try to look at what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that a company has, and then from there we start talking tactically.
Do most people really know what they should do? They just don't get around to doing it? Talk a little bit about how you have to manage people of not only their expectations, but actually how to value their results.
I think first they have to understand what their strengths are and what sets them apart from their competition. So we talk a lot about who they are and what's their sweet spot. And then from that, we talk about what their strategic goal is, big picture and how they take that strength of who they are and bring that into their professional world, into their business. Because the personal brand is going to help them build their company brand. And if you don't understand who you are and the strengths you have and what you bring to a situation, then that may prevent you from actually being successful in your business. So bringing the two together by helping them with the nuts and bolts of everything from how they speak, how they position themselves, how they put together their marketing collateral, having integrated marketing, so having the social media with the print, with television, with radio, speaking, helping them put their press kit together, and then from a sales business development standpoint, making sure that we're reaching the right audience, that we're talking to the decision makers. And then something that is very important is having a weekly catch-up meeting where we check in and we really talk about, are they meeting their goals, are we getting these solutions met, and having good communication with them.
Well, this sounds a whole lot more complicated than just a handshake and a phone call, isn't it?
It's a lot of fun, actually. It really is. But like anything in business, you've got to have fun, but you also need to have a plan and a roadmap. And a lot of times, people will throw something on the wall and hope that they achieve all their goals, but they have to really take a step back and have a third eye and look at what do I need to do to get to that point, and I help them do that.
Sounds like test and measure, right? What's some of the most fun projects you're actually involved in right now? I know you've done some nonprofit stuff lately, which has resulted in some very large events. You want to talk about any of those especially? You working on it for the future?
I mix up both the restaurant hospitality industry, where I've been in that for 14 years. So I'm working with a restaurateur that is the former founder of Vickery's and Steamhouse Lounge, and several of those concepts. He's launching a new brand called Compise Square, and I'm helping him find investors for his company. I'm working with a company that specializes in finance and operations for restaurants, Trusted CFO Solutions, and I'm helping them make a difference for restaurants. I'm working with soon, as of starting next week, a company that Jeff Chernoff, he owns 3 companies, and one is the Consumer's Choice Awards that recognizes excellence in business. His second business is called the Business Community Network, and that's going to be bringing CEOs together in a round table and sharing referrals and leads with each other. And then the third is called Mini Masters, and that's miniature paintings like Thomas Kincaid and Norman Rockwell. And imagine, instead of having that on the wall, you're actually giving them a miniature painting on an easel with a little light that you turn on, and you give that as gifts. And so that's his third business. So from a business standpoint, all of those are fun and dynamic. And then on the nonprofit side, I would say Star C, having the opportunity and honor to serve on the board and work with a great team and helping families live better is something that's very exciting.
Well, Star C certainly sounds like it's a good way to lay your head down in the evening, knowing you're helping some other families do the same thing in a great environment. I'm very proud of you for working with the process of the food, because the youth of the day need to understand where their food comes from. And if you've got that many children involved with helping watch things grow in their own community, they may not live on a farm now, but they at least know where their food comes from and how it's made, and they know they have to invest their time and effort. So in the future, if we want to get in touch with you, Deborah, I'm sure people out there are looking down and they've probably got their pen out. How do they find Deborah Schwartz-Griffin?
Well, I'm known as a creative connector, connecting people to people and ideas to results. And so my website is creativeconnector with an OR.com. And then you can reach out to me on my social media, either through LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. When you go to my website, you'll see the icons, so you can reach me through the social media that way.
Well, I think we've seen today with our group. We thank you for being with us, but Nick and Juan as well. We've all focused on social media as we begin to wrap up our afternoon. Remembering our morning. Excuse me, we're still at the morning this morning. As we wrap up our morning, we're all working on how we get a better brand, how we present a better fact, how we gather more facts, and how we do our jobs a little better every day. So we're here at the Buckhead Business Show today, looking at how we can improve the business process we all experience. We've got that last 30 seconds. Juan, you want to wrap up? What's your thought? What did you learn this morning?
Oh, I learned a lot from both of our guests here, and that just really appreciative of the opportunity. And I learned that there's many ways to make $1. Just choose one of them.
Just choose one. That's right. Nick, what about you? 30 seconds and wrap.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to be successful. There's different avenues, and I think the big lesson is, winners deal with the truth. And you have to, when you're looking at whatever you're applying, whatever business model, if it's not working, you have to go back and make changes. And I think sometimes a lot of people, the reason they do struggle is because they're afraid to admit that they might be failing, and they keep going down that path. So you have to be truthful with yourself and deal with the results are they are, so you know what to do to be successful.
Very good. I think you said identify, test, and measure. Deborah, a wrap up from what you've learned this morning from these gentlemen and the show?
Well, I think people do business with people they like and trust and call friend. And so I think that these two gentlemen I'm with obviously not only love what they do, but I think that they feel the same way, and that's why they've been successful. And one of my mottos is you have to want to, you have to believe that you can, and then convince others that you will.
Very good. Well, thank you for joining us on the Buckhead Business Show here at the Pro Business Channel studios overlooking lovely Lenox Mall and lovely Buckhead. So, gang, it's a wrap, and we're ready to go out.
Yeah, we have a couple more minutes. We want to do a shout-out to the BBA, and a couple of comments and questions for each of the guests real quick. So, again, thank you to the Buckhead Business Association, BBA. You can check them out at buckheadbusiness.org. Real quick with each of our guests. So for Deborah, Star C, I enjoyed being invited to the food bank and to the Star C breakfast last week. We look forward to having the founder and some other folks in the studio to continue that conversation. You mentioned pies are square. Is that pies are square? Is that Little Caesars or like what is?
They're double.
Well, it's going to be square pieces, and
Okay,
it's
yeah.
going to be made where you come in and you see it being prepared, and then you take it home and you actually bake it yourself.
okay, nice.
And it's a knockoff of Papa Murphy's.
Okay, nice, yeah, like that. And then Juan, I love where every question that was he found people asking, the answer was always yes.
Yes.
Going to make it happen, right? A take action kind of guy.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if you all got the connection, but Deborah, I'd like to introduce you to my new best friend. He's a real estate mogul here in Atlanta, and talk about properties and investment and affordable housing. Y'all are talking the same language. I'm sure there's going to be a conversation after the show on that. Right. For Nick, do you ever turn it off? I mean, what happens around family and friends? Everybody like...
No, I mean, you get that.
Yeah.
No, you're only reading people when you really want to. We all read people.
Yeah,
we
that's
all
true, yeah.
we all try to get a feel for it. But you really, when you're talking to someone, you want to figure out, does this person like me? Does this? You're trying to figure out
vibe,
signals.
yeah.
So it's only when you really want to get something. But there are some things you just can't help but notice, especially when you're talking to someone. But it's not like, all right,
Yeah.
you're zooming in and you're.
So it's kind of like a
No.
muscle. If you exercise it, you become more proficient at it. right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, with anything. Yeah.
And then, do you ever go with a client like undercover, and so you can like analyze that communication and then review with them afterwards? Here's what went right or wrong, or
Well, with the workshop, it is hands-on.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not just
so
sit down, take notes, and
So
there-
people
it's
interacting, and then you
yeah,
give some
no,
feedback
It's
and-
hands. Yes, so you're trained on that.
And then finally, when you do a corporate event, do you
Uh-huh.
ever open with that corporate event and say, "Okay, we got some good news and some bad news for some of the employees"? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
is this-
love it later?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, it's all yours to give one more plug for the BBA as we close this out here. Yeah.
Well, what are you doing on Thursday morning at 7 o'clock? I hope you'll join us at the City Club where we have a good speaker, we'll have good fellowship, and we'll have a lot of fun. And also, once a month, we do an after hours, which is always a phenomenal experience. We go to one of those great restaurants here in Buckhead and have a little adult beverage and maybe have some hors d'oeuvres. And then the last piece, which is most people, we just finished up our annual luncheon where we change officers each year and we give the retail awards for Buckhead, which is a lot of fun. And we have some signature lunches as well. So those are sprinkled throughout the year. And of course, as always, the Taste of Buckhead Business is a showstopper. If you really want to have all the fun foods in one night at one stop, you got it. And then if you happen to be under 35 years old, just like a country club, we believe in the Young Bucks. So we have a Young Bucks organization as well as a leadership group, and we have something pretty well to meet it. So as Sam Massell said, if you'll just buy a little bit of Buckhead, like Pablo says, and take good care of it. It'll take good care of you. So we hope we'll see you in Buckhead at the Buckhead Business Association on Thursday mornings, Thursday lunches, or Thursday afternoons, anytime. BuckheadBusiness.org. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you for joining us and our guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association.